Hello world, it's Calcutron here with the fourth episode in our series on programming in TI Basic. Today we will be talking about conditional statements, which allow our program to execute code depending on a true or false condition. Conditional statements are essential for programming complex applications and can be used to give users the ability to change how the program operates. We are going to leverage conditionals in our temperature conversion applications to allow the user to choose between converting to Celsius or to Fahrenheit. So let's start by defining what is a condition. Well, a condition is something that can be true or false and affects whether or not another piece of code gets run. So in TI Basic, we don't have a true or a false, but we represent those with numbers. 0 is false and 1 is true. But in reality, anything that is non-zero is true. So let's see how this works by putting it to use in our temperature conversion application. So what we'd like to do is first ask the users, do they want to convert to Fahrenheit or to Celsius? In order to do that, we need to insert a couple lines here. So in order to ask the users, we're going to use the input command, you might have guessed, and our prompt string is going to be F or, well, how about this? Let's have F equals 1. So I'm just going to use the equals here in the side of string, and you can get to that through second and then math, which is just below the alpha key. So F equals 1, and then C equals 0. And then we want to store what they input into C. What we want to happen is if they put in a 1, we want to output or prompt them for the Fahrenheit temperature and then output the Celsius. And if they put in a 0, we want to instead prompt them for a Celsius value and give them the equivalent Fahrenheit. So the way we do this is using the if statement. So this is our first statement in the control tab in the program menu. So we're going to do if t. And the way ifs works is if it's true, it will execute the next line down, so it's going to execute this line. If it's false, it will skip over this line and go straight to this input. And once again, true is anything that is not 0, but we can also think of true as being 1, and usually it's easier to think of true as being 1. That means that this line of code will get run if they put in a 1, and it won't get run if they put in a 0. But it's not enough just to select whether we run a single line of code, so we actually want to select multiple lines of code to conditionally run. And once again, what we put in the if is called the condition, so T is our condition in this case. So let's clear this line and then put a then. And now this means that it's going to do the next lines if t, then it's going to do the next lines until it reaches an end. So we're going to go all the way down to here. And that's the end of our Celsius code, our converting from Celsius code. Converting from Fahrenheit code. So if t equals 1, which means we're in Fahrenheit, it's going to do this code. So let's go ahead and try it. Temperature convert, and then we run it. So let's put in a 1. And now it's asking us for a Fahrenheit value. And it works, but we made a small mistake, and we didn't account for another line being on the screen. And that's because this output command down here is always going to output in the second row and the 10th column, no matter what else is there. So I think we should probably change this to be the 3rd row because of the additional line for the prompt as to what temperature you want to convert to. And then for this prompt, we should probably put in a space here and maybe even a question mark. So the question mark is control and then the minus key. And that should look a little better. So let's go back and run this. And we'll see we want Fahrenheit, so we'll put 1. And here's our Fahrenheit value, which is 50. And it tells us the correct Celsius value. So now let's try it, and let's say we want to convert from Celsius. So let's put in a 0. Well, nothing happens because we haven't coded the Celsius part. So now that we've told it what to do when the condition is true, we need to tell it what to do when the condition is false. So let's go down here to this end, and before it, let's put in a couple lines and then put in an else. So that tells it what code should it run if t is false or if t is 0. So we're going to do exactly the same thing we did before. Input a Celsius value. And we'll put it in C this time. And then we'll store C times 9/5. And then we'll add 32 and store that into F. And now we will display Fahrenheit with a colon, space, and then we could do comma F, but we're going to try to make it look a little nicer, and then on the next line do an output, and we will output at 3, comma, and then we want to output right after this space. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's in the 12th column. And then we want to output the F variable. So let's try this now and see what happens. We run temperature convert, and this time we put in a 0 instead of a 1. So now it's running that second block of code that was inside of the else. And we're going to tell it in Celsius it was 20 degrees today. And now in Fahrenheit it was 68 degrees. So it looks like it's working pretty well. This has been a short tutorial on conditional in TI Basic. If you had any questions or comments, please leave them below. Bye-bye.